What's up, everyone? Welcome to the High Passion Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel K., and I'm here today with my guest, Jeremixx.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
At the High Passion Podcast, we like to showcase people and what they're passionate about. Jeremixx is a DJ, tech consultant, and multimedia specialist. Let's talk a little bit about how you got into that field.
Well, music I've been into since I was, I guess, a small child because of my parents, my father specifically.
Nice.
And graphic design and those kinds of things. I've always been into tech, but graphic design specifically somewhere throughout the times of high school and then just different levels since then.
So after high school, where did you go to further yourself in that field?
Some of it is self-taught, and then eventually, I went to college, didn't do anything related to design or music at all.
Nice.
I went for IT. That was not the calling.
Yeah, whatever you can learn, man. Knowledge is knowledge.
Well, the funny thing is I left because they were teaching me shit that I'd already known.
There you go. Well, even learning that you don't want to do something.
Yeah.
It's a good,
Well, that's what it really was, because that's what I thought I would have ended up in since I was a small child.
Nice.
Like, everybody kind of was like, oh, this guy's going to go into IT, computers, stuff like that.
Got you.
I still am, which is the whole tech consultant part.
Got you. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, well, you've helped here on the podcast many times with the tech consulting, so I absolutely see that part.
I then went took a few years off where I was DJing, because DJing has always been a passion of mine as well. And that after a few years off, I went back to school for web design and interactive media. That's what I went back to school for.
So what does that actually entail?
Well, as it says, web design, web development. You have some experience with that.
Yep.
It did involve quite a bit of graphic design, as well as some animation and video editing. Just an assortment of things, multimedia things. I've already had some experience because of the DJing side with audio editing, so that's another thing. And then
perfect.
It's just everything in that field, pretty much.
Awesome. Yeah. So as obviously we know here, you've helped a lot in this podcast, helping from the design of our actual logo. Previously, in my ventures before, you've helped me with web design and done all that. So I can definitely vouch for that type of work and see the passion that you bring to that. Mm-hmm. So before we get into the next part, let's fucking spark a joint and
we've been waiting.
Get her going. This is some pink gas that came to me through a friend of mine. I got some of the bud right here. We got to get a camera set up for that eventually, but here we go. Yeah. So as I get this started, let's talk about how the work you do connects with cannabis and how cannabis helps you do the work you do, or has whatever influence it has had for you and your passion.
I'll speak on both sides, on the DJing side as well as the media side. It kind of ultimately depends on what it is that I am smoking. I typically prefer to smoke sativas nowadays because I noticed that overall it will help.
Got you. So in what ways do you mean that? In what ways does it help you?
So I won't speak more so to how it helps but I'll speak more so to quickly. I'll mention how indicas aren't as helpful.
Okay.
I find that if I'm going out to DJ and I smoke an indica spliff just before playing, it will put me very into my head. I will be second guessing things that I can do with my eyes closed.
Yeah.
I may make mistakes that I wouldn't otherwise have made. Whereas sativa, it'll help me. It'll wake me up. It'll, like, indica will also put me to sleep to an extent. Not off the first joint, obviously, but I won't feel very energetic. And that's kind of what you need to channel when, trying to hype a crowd. So
yeah, for sure.
Also, I'm not going to say that I don't feel productive, but like on a design and whatnot side, if I do definitely feel better on a sativa than an indica.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to parts of that. For me, I usually consume a lot for the sedative effect and for that relaxing thing, you know.
And for me, I completely understand, but there's a time and place.
100%.
Yeah.
So that makes complete sense. You know, when you're consuming cannabis, you've got to, you know, think about where or what the purpose of the consumption is for you. You know, and
Yep.
everyone treats it a lot differently and can get different benefits from it.
Yep.
So I find it really interesting that that's how you go about using it in the musical field,
Yeah.
especially.
So in the musical field specifically, I would prefer to smoke sativas before sets.
Yeah.
But I do also notice, and I've had many nights, what sativa and tequila mix, and it has me bouncing off the walls.
There you
It's a
go.
very fun night.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about what your introduction to cannabis was. How were you first introduced to it, or if you don't want to necessarily get into that, uh, you know, when and was it a positive experience?
Okay. My first introduction was, I'm not gonna go too specific into details. I'm not gonna incriminate anybody or say any names. Was at in high school actually.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
some people that we know, uh, whether just from being in the same school or not, some people that we've known from high school, just took me on a journey. We went across the street and during our lunch break, and I don't know, we smoked a spliff that was honestly like a zigzag,
Yeah.
but it got all of us
Between a
high.
bunch of people.
Yeah.
Your first time smoking.
But
Yeah,
it was just my first time smoking.
just
Everybody
to-
else was an experience.
Just to give you guys some little bit of background, me and Jeremy grew up together. We went to the same school, so that's what he was referring to there a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty classic experience, you know, one small little joint between a group of people.
Especially when it's earlier on. Nowadays, maybe not. I think it's actually earlier on when you're smoking, like in your smoking career. Because, like, when I think back to those earlier times of smoking,
Yeah.
whether it was with that group that I started smoking with, whether it was with, well, I guess even with my cousins and family who also helped with that journey of smoking, or my, my day one friends who are also big parts of that journey of smoking.
Yeah, for sure.
With the day ones and with the family who smoked well before I was even thinking of weed, it seemed like not much would get us high.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, and honestly, like, if you think about it, what we probably had access to back there was so much lower was such a lower quality as well.
For sure.
But smaller amounts would definitely still get you fried. You know, you remember those giggly days.
Oh yeah,
where
the giggly days.
where weed did something different to you, or with cannabis. I'm trying to stop calling it weed. There's some negative context around that, but yeah. So I just wanted to connect that back to your experience there, your first time smoking. After that, did it become more of like a regular thing for you? Did you take a break for a while and get reintroduced to it, or like how did it affect you after that first experience?
I would say that within that first, let's say, year, it didn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But it was a very once in a while. Like, I'll be honest, my first time getting high, didn't get high. I didn't get high.
Yeah, that seems to be a standard.
Yeah,
like people
you just
say
don't
that.
know what you're expecting.
I don't know why that is. It'd be interesting to look into it one day, but
I just genuinely believe you just don't know what you're looking for, like you're expecting.
Expectations could be pretty high.
Expectations. I think when you hear about things, especially things like substances, and you hear about what happens from other people, and you go down the rabbit hole
Yeah.
of trying it yourself, you hear magical stories. and you look for those magical experiences, but those experiences not maybe as magical as you are led to believe that they are.
Yeah. So that first time's kind of like like we said already, your expectations are set too high, and you kind of misses the mark. You're thinking
maybe
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily that it missed the mark. Maybe, you know what I did learn relatively early on in my smoking career is obviously there is a right way and a wrong way to smoke. You need to
Yes.
be taking in smoke. Doing all the smoke tricks typically means you're not actually taking in smoke.
Very true. Very true. Which is a hard thing to, when you're trying to look cool smoking, to
Yep.
get by that whole.
I don't believe that on my first try I was trying to look cool in the slightest, because I knew at that moment I was like, oh, I'm fully aware this is my first time trying this.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But
Absolutely.
I did have from that first point, which is early on in my high school career, and then to the end of high school, the beginning wasn't very much, and then the ending was like a lot. And somehow lunch breaks were the killers.
The times.
Yep.
Yes.
And then once you got spares, yep.
All right. Well, so moving on from that, we kind of got into this a little bit at the start there. I just want to touch back on it. Being a motivated person that consumes cannabis, what do you do? I know you already said sativas are a big part of your schedule, but when you're in that slumped state, stoned, maybe off of an indica, but you got a deadline and you got something that you got to do, get done. How do you get off that couch?
That's actually a good one. Well, as you mentioned, sativa is a big one. I try to avoid, or not avoid. I'm very selective with when I would like to consume indicas and how much of it I would like to consume. Like typically, the way that my current today schedule is, I wouldn't be smoking indica this early because, as you're saying, I kind of have to go home, get some work done, and the way that my sleep schedule is I'm not going to be done work until, or going to sleep until you're probably getting ready to go for work.
So if you're on the couch after smoking an indica, how would you take a sativa then to bring you out of that, to get that deadline done? Or like, what would your move be specifically from that situation? You know what I mean?
If I was already in the mood to keep smoking, yes. Depending on how much time I have before the deadline,
yep,
I may just sleep it off.
Nice.
It depends.
Yeah.
If I have like, if it's the night before and I have something due the next morning, then you don't really have the option to do that, because chances are you're gonna fall asleep, and then you're gonna just sleep through whatever deadline it is, and then you'll just be screwed and look bad. We don't want to do that, right? But if I choose to smoke more, sativas work. I do find that depending on how you balance it, like me personally, because I smoke mainly sativas. Like, I smoke sativas throughout my day, and then I might smoke an indica to sleep. But because there's so much sativas consumed, that even if I smoke a certain amount, it should be outweighed by the sativas.
Interesting.
But that being said, I have had nights where, for example, I've smoked sativa the entire night, or sativa dominance the entire night, and then I'll pop one Illicami and just significantly feel less, like, just more tired.
Yeah.
And honestly,
so the indicas and sativas really have a significant different effect on you.
They can. That night, other substances were in the mix.
Interesting.
But
yes, good times. Okay, so moving on from that, what is your favorite way to consume? And do you have any favorite strains or products that you live by?
My typical favorite way of consumption is the spliff.
Nice.
I'm not going to get into my habits, but I do prefer grabba.
Okay.
at times. At all the time, but but I do smoke ital as well. Or sorry, I do smoke green as well.
Yeah.
I occasionally will have gummies or edibles.
Yeah, because you mentioned the gummies a
Yeah,
moment ago.
I will occasionally have edibles. I do occasionally enjoy a vape or a vape pen, whatever you want to call them.
And then what about strains?
Strains, sorry. Strains. I've fallen back in love with mimosa as of late.
Oh, nice. I love mimosa. It's hard to grow, but she's beautiful. She smells really nice. She's got beautiful terps and beautiful flavor to her.
Yep.
When she's grown right, great sativa to smoke.
Yeah.
Great sativa to smoke.
I've gone through upwards of a pound.
Nice.
Not like just at separate
Just Percy
moments.
smoking.
Yeah.
Nice.
And not bought at one time. Like
That's
just like going back and getting more of the same strain. And I don't typically do that. I like to explore sometimes. But that one
it got you.
That
eh?
one
It got you.
that was one of those ones that taught me that I do like sativas more than indicas. Like genuinely.
Yeah.
I used to like think about it and like talk about it, but I was always on a hybrid, which mimosa is a hybrid to an extent. But
yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost there's not a lot of like true full indicas or true full sativas out there.
Yeah.
So most things
And-
are hybrids of some sort.
to be fair, that's what I want because I do like the somewhat sedative factor. I just don't like the super sedative factor. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, you just don't want to get couch locked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to get couch locked, but I want to be more chill.
Yeah. No, I get that. I
But-
get that.
I have smoked certain sativas that you feel like you are on crack.
Yeah, no, it's like you get that very stimulating effect. That's hilarious.
You're just awake and you're
The guy said
just-
smoke.
you're just, ready to go. I've never been on crack, but what I've seen,
apparently that's what he assumes it's like.
yeah, this is what they depicted it as.
That's it is what it is. So you said joints are your favorite way to consume. If you had to pick one product to roll with, I know you're not sponsored by anybody, but if you had to pick a paper, what would you pick?
Ooh.
Or would it be like a blunt or like,
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I have to say it.
That's what I gotta ask.
Yeah. So
Gotta ask.
I'm gonna say this. I am a big fan of Josh
Hey, Raw. Shout out.
and everything that's going on over there and everything that he pushes for over there in that raw house, everything that company
Absolutely.
and brand has going for it.
Absolutely.
So that is definitely at the top of my list.
Yeah.
But
But let's hear it.
I'm also a fan of OCB papers.
Oh, that's fair.
So I think I would rock. I would probably go with raw. I would
Yeah.
have to be raw.
Stranded on an island, you got one pack of papers.
No, if I had to go with the entire company, it would be raw.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Because it's like if it comes down to specifically papers.
I'm talking about you're stranded on an island. You're gonna these are the only papers you're gonna have.
How many packs do I have?
We're not timing out how long you're gonna survive on this island right now. I'm just asking if you only had one option. Which pack would you bring with you on that flight or on that island? Sorry.
I'll just say raw.
Nice. The specific pack.
Oh, I would probably end up bringing a pack of raw originals.
Nice. I'm almost with you there. I
know you like the blacks.
I like the blacks and
Yeah.
I like the single wides.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
old like
I wanna-
zigzag style, just because I like that. It's a good personal joint style. Like that. That's my go-to. All natural. I can just toss the joint in the garden.
Yeah.
and
I would
not my grow,
I'd
just to
probably
let people
say
know.
I'd probably say either the 1 1/4s or the King Slims.
Nice. Yeah.
Because the king just full kings are too big. King Slims I can smoke. 1 1/4 is a regular size. I find that zigzag size like one single
Single
wides
wides.
sometimes feel too small for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. To be honest, like I'm an indica smoker, so like smoking fatties of indicas, you can see what they do.
Yeah.
um, very enjoyable, and that's what I like to do, and that's what I like to get from the cannabis. But that's why the smaller joints for personal are just the perfect size for me. So, what did you think about this joint that we smoked?
It was good. Um I do feel the heaviness in my my face and my eyes, but it smokes well. It didn't make me cough too much, you know. It nice ash. Um Also, I don't feel like super sluggish or tired yet because I don't think it is like these have been the first few smokes of my day actually.
Nice.
But I don't feel like I think it's because I know I'm comfortable. Like I'm not going to go and do anything that I feel need to feel super uh I don't know. I don't know what the word is. Ready for? I don't know.
Got you.
Like I'm
Got
not
you.
like going out to do anything. I'm just gonna go home.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So it's like I can just deal with this, go home, do whatever I need to do, get to work, whatever the case may be. Or even if I want to go out, I know some friends are at a bar very close to my house.
Nice.
But
Go get some partying on.
maybe have a drink or whatever. But same ways, I don't feel very sluggish or tired yet. But it does feel like an indica. What how about you tell me about it?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned it at the start, that it's pink gas, I believe. I got it from one of my close buddies. It's a heavy indica strain. I believe the strain comes out of BC. I'm not 100% on that though. Grown fairly well. Looks nice. Not as much color as I'd like to see from some pinks, but got some nice goo to it, nice texture, and like you said,
Yeah.
smokes fairly well. Um, Definitely has the indica effects, but
Yeah.
like you said, it's kind of a creeper, so it comes up on the back end of the high from my experience with it. Um,
So you're saying my time is limited right now, eh?
that's that may be the case. That may be the case.
All right.
So tell me a little bit about what you've got going on now and what the next steps are for you.
By the time this gets out, I will have probably hopefully launched my new company, which is another multimedia company.
Oh, nice!
I
First time
have
hearing of it.
yeah, it's it'll be called High Q Media. Um I'm aiming to launch around the same time as you are.
Nice, nice.
So hopefully in the new year of 2024, we'll put that on tape and have that accountable for us.
That's it. That's it. I like it. Hold you accountable to that, and
Oh, yeah.
me as well.
But yeah, so I'm currently working on launching that and getting all the back end business stuff ready. Still, handling business, doing DJing gigs, whatever, whenever.
Whenever
And
they come.
yeah,
No gigs lined up for the Christmas break or New Year coming up.
I actually have the next few weekends booked.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's good for you. Good
So
for you.
I have a Christmas party for a company, and a friend booked me a while ago for his holiday party,
Awesome.
and I've
Awesome.
dodged them enough times, so I have to go to this one.
Yes, yes, yes. That's good though.
Um, but yeah,
Good. Keep him busy. Keep him busy.
yeah.
All right, Jeremy. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. If my viewers want to follow along with your journey, where could they find you?
Check me out at my personal page is at DJ _Jeremixx on everything. Twitter, Instagram, wherever. And then also follow my new page, my new company, IQ_media on Instagram, and check it out at highqmedia.ca.
Awesome, man. Well, like I said, thanks so much for being here. Guys, if you want to follow along, you can find us on YouTube and Instagram at High Passion Podcast. Thanks for tuning into the first episode of the High Passion Podcast. See you next time and stay passionate.